What if the signals from the void were not just echoes of the past, but warnings of an imminent threat? As I stood on the precipice of the forbidden zone in the boreal forest of Zeltron 4, I could feel the weight of that question pressing down on me, heavier than the dense canopy above. I was Dr. Alien Voss, an astrobiologist driven by an insatiable thirst for discovery, yet today I was gripped by an unsettling sense of dread. The Proteus Initiative had tasked me with leading a team of scientists into this uncharted wilderness where the whispers of the unknown beckoned us deeper into the shadows. Zeltron, a planet colonized by humans only a few decades ago, was a place of paradoxes. Lush, vibrant flora thrived under a sky tinged with violet hues, while the ground beneath us concealed untold mysteries. The technological advancements that allowed us to traverse these wild lands felt hollow in the face of nature's ancient secrets. I had devoted my life to searching for signs of extraterrestrial life, but as we ventured into the heart of the boreal forest, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were treading on sacred ground, a graveyard of civilizations long past. It began with a signal, an enigmatic pulse emanating from beneath layers of rock. The discovery was exhilarating, but the implications were chilling. As we approached the source, my heart raced with a mixture of excitement and fear. The air around us crackled with an energy that felt almost alive, each step forward a step into the unknown. My team, Dr. Ilara Finn, a brilliant linguist with an obsession for alien dialects, and Dr. Thorne Jacks, a seasoned geologist with a penchant for adventure, shared my unease. We were scientists, not soldiers, but today we were intruders in a realm that had long been forgotten. As we excavated the site, the darkness of our surroundings closed in on us. The alien structure we unearthed was a monolith of smooth obsidian, its surface shimmering with an iridescent glow. It felt as if it were breathing, exhaling secrets that had been hidden for eons. The moment we activated our equipment to decode the signal, the atmosphere shifted. The ground trembled beneath our feet, and for a fleeting instant, I thought I saw shadows dancing just beyond the trees, watching us, waiting. But it was the moment we deciphered the first message that changed everything. The screen flickered to life, revealing symbols that twisted my stomach into knots. They spoke of an ancient race, the Eldari, who had once thrived on this very planet. The warnings echoed through my mind. These messages were not meant for us. They were a call to the Eldari, beckoning them to awaken. I could feel the air grow heavy with anticipation, thick with an unspoken tension. As the light from the artifact surged, illuminating our surroundings in a blinding flash, I was struck by a visceral fear. I had seen enough horror films to know that this was not the moment of triumph I had envisioned. The world around me faded, and darkness swallowed us whole. When I regained consciousness, a chilling realization dawned upon me. We were no longer merely observers of an ancient past. We had inadvertently triggered a chain of events that would awaken the Eldari, and they were not the benevolent architects of history I had once hoped to find. They viewed us as interlopers, and their awakening was just the beginning of a nightmare that would threaten everything we had built on this fragile world. But as I lay there, grappling with the gravity of our situation, I knew I had to make a choice: to negotiate with the Eldari or to warn humanity of the impending doom. And with that choice came the weight of consequences that could alter the very fabric of our existence. Little did I know the true horrors were only just beginning to unfold. As I lay on the cold, damp ground, the remnants of consciousness began to swirl in my mind. The weight of my choices pressed heavily on me. The pulsating light of the artifact lingered in my vision, casting an otherworldly glow over the forest, which now felt more menacing than ever. I could hear the distant rustle of leaves, as if the very trees were whispering secrets amongst themselves. My heart raced, and I turned. To check on my team, Ilara was the first to stir, her eyes blinking against the dim light. She sat up slowly, her brow furrowed in confusion. "What happened?" she asked, her voice tinged with anxiety. "We activated something," I replied, my voice shaky. "I think we awakened the Eldari." The weight of my words hung heavily between us, and I could see the realization dawn on her. She was always the optimist, the one who believed in the potential for discovery, but now her expression was clouded with fear. Dr. Jax was next, groaning as he pushed himself upright. "Is everyone okay?" "That was one hell of a light show," he said, brushing dirt from his clothes. But his usual bravado faltered as he took in our surroundings. What did we unleash? I glanced at the monolith, now silent but still radiating an ominous energy. "We need to regroup and figure out what this all means," I said, trying to sound more confident than I felt. But deep down, a gnawing fear took root. This was no ordinary discovery. We had unwittingly crossed a threshold, and there was no turning back. As we gathered our thoughts, I felt a chill creep into the air. A shadow flickered at the edge of my vision, and I turned quickly, but it was gone. Just a trick of the light, I hoped. Elara and Jax exchanged worried glances, and I knew they felt it too. "Do you think they're watching us?" Elara whispered, her voice barely audible over the rustling leaves. "Who? The Eldari?" I asked, trying to keep my tone light, but failing miserably. "Yeah," Jax interjected, his eyes scanning the tree line. "If that message was meant for them, then we might not be alone out here." Panic surged through me as I recalled the fleeting shadows I thought I'd seen. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my racing heart. We can't let fear dictate our next steps. We need to study the artifact further and decipher the rest of its messages. Maybe there's a way to communicate. Elara nodded, but I could see the uncertainty in her eyes. "What if they don't want to communicate?" she said, her voice trembling. "What if we're just in their way?" The tension thickened as our fears swirled into a palpable presence in the air. Just then, a rustling noise erupted from the underbrush, snapping us back to reality. From the shadows emerged a figure cloaked in a tattered hood, their face obscured. My heart raced as I recalled the cautionary tales from the colonists, stories of the guardians of the forest, rumored protectors of this land. "Who dares disturb the slumber of the Eldari?" the figure intoned, their voice echoing with an otherworldly resonance. I stepped forward, my voice firm yet trembling. "We mean no harm. We're here to learn and understand." "You have awakened them," the figure hissed, eyes glinting beneath the hood. "You will pay the price for your intrusion." A wave of dread washed over me, and I felt the ground shudder beneath my feet. The reality of our situation crashed down like a wave. Our scientific curiosity had unleashed something far beyond our understanding. In that moment, I realized the true scope of our dilemma. We were not just explorers of a new world. We were now entwined in a conflict that threatened to engulf us all. As the figure raised a hand, a strange energy crackled in the air, and I knew we had reached a tipping point. The decisions we made in the coming moments might seal our fate, but we had to act. The stakes had never been higher, and the clock was ticking. As the figure's hand rose, the air around us pulsed with a foreboding energy, sending a shiver down my spine. In that moment, I felt a flicker of something deep within me. A memory, perhaps, or a long-buried fear. I blinked and found myself staring not at the cloaked figure, but at the remnants of my past. I had always been curious, some might say recklessly. So, years ago I had lost someone close to me, a fellow researcher on a similar expedition. We had ventured into uncharted territory, drawn by the allure of discovery, only to find ourselves enveloped in darkness. I had made a choice that day, one that haunted my dreams, to push forward despite the warnings, to ignore the signs. I had been the one who convinced my team to proceed, and in doing so, I lost not just a colleague, but a friend. With that memory came a rush of guilt, an insistent voice whispering that I was to blame for everything that had gone wrong since then. Was I repeating my mistakes? I looked at Elara and Jax, their faces pale with fear, and suddenly I felt the weight of my past choices pressing down harder than before. The figure's voice sliced through my thoughts. You are not the first to awaken the Eldari, nor will you be the last. But your intentions do not matter. The balance has been broken, and you must face the consequences. What do you mean? I demanded, my heart racing. We didn't know. We came here to learn. The figure stepped closer, and for the first time, I caught a glimpse of their face, a visage marked with ancient scars and wisdom. Knowledge comes at a price. You have stirred the spirits of this forest, and they are not pleased. They sense your doubts, your fears, and they will feed on them. I glanced at Alara, her eyes wide with terror, and at Jax, whose bravado had evaporated. What do? I whispered, my voice barely audible. You must confront your past, or it will consume you, the figure said, their tone shifting. Each choice you made has led you here, and the Eldari will not be merciful. Suddenly, the ground trembled again, more violently this time. A piercing shriek echoed from the trees, and I felt a shadow surge through the forest, wrapping around us like a shroud. I squeezed my eyes shut, grappling with the chaos of emotion surging within me. Was I truly losing my mind, or was this some twisted manifestation of the fears I had buried? Alara grabbed my arm, her grip tight. We can't let them take us. We have to fight back. But I could feel the truth in the figure's words. The Eldari were not just a myth, they were a force, and their awakening was tied to my own unresolved traumas. I realized I might have to confront not only the spirits of this forest, but the ghost of my past, the loss that had shaped me. And, as the shadows danced around us, I felt a surge of determination. I would not let my past dictate my future. We needed to unravel this mystery, not just for our survival, but to reclaim the parts of ourselves that had been lost. The figure stepped back, watching us, as if gauging our resolve. The choice is yours, but be warned, the truth is rarely what it seems. With that, the world spun around me, and I braced myself, knowing the real challenge had only just begun. I felt the forest's shadows tighten around us, pulsating with an energy that mirrored my own turmoil. Every instinct screamed at me to flee, but I stood my ground, torn between fear and the flickering flame of resolve igniting deep within. Ilara's hand clutched my arm tighter. I could feel her pulse racing, mirroring my own. Jax, always the brave one, had gone pale, his bravado crumbling under the weight of the supernatural forces at play. Listen to me, we can't let them win, Ilara urged, her eyes darting to the figure, then back to me. You have to confront this. We have to confront this together. I turned to face her, the fear in her eyes igniting a spark of determination. What if I can't? What if this is too big for us? Then we try anyway, Jax interjected, his voice steady despite his trembling hands. We owe it to ourselves and to those we've lost. We can't let this darkness consume us. The figure watched us intently, and I sensed a shift in the air, a momentary pause in the chaos that enveloped us. This was it. I had to face my fears, my past, and whatever lay ahead. Tell me what I need to do, I shouted, my voice echoing in the stillness that followed. The figure raised a hand, and the shadows parted just enough for me to see a flicker of light, a path leading deeper into the forest. Follow the light. There, you will find the heart of the Eldari. But beware, your greatest fears will manifest, and you must confront them without falter. Ilara and Jax exchanged glances, uncertainty etched on their faces, but I felt a surge of confidence. We'll do it together, I said, and they nodded, steeling themselves for the unknown that awaited us. As we stepped forward, the shadows writhed, and dark tendrils reached out, trying to ensnare us. I felt their pull, the whispers of my regrets, clawing at my mind. Images of that fateful day flooded back, my friend's face, the moment I realized we were lost, the moment I chose to push ahead. Focus, Jax shouted, breaking through the haze. We can't let it take us. Right, I breathed, forcing myself to remember why I was here. I was not just a researcher, I was a survivor. I had a chance to rewrite my narrative, to reclaim what I had lost. As we advanced, the forest shifted, and the light beckoned, illuminating the path ahead. But with every step, the shadows twisted into forms, visions of my past mistakes, the faces of those I had failed. "Face it," Ilara shouted, her voice a beacon amidst the encroaching darkness. "You are stronger than this." I squeezed my eyes shut, willing myself to confront the specters of my guilt. "I'm sorry," I cried into the void, the words tearing from my throat. "I'm sorry I let you down." The shadows surged, and I felt the weight of my past pressing down on me, but alongside it, an unexpected warmth enveloped my heart. I could almost hear my friend's voice, urging me forward, telling me it was okay to let go. With that realization, I opened my eyes, ready to face whatever awaited us at the heart of the Eldari. The light flickered, brightening with every ounce of courage I summoned. As we stepped into the clearing, the air thick with anticipation, I felt a shift, a crossing of thresholds. The confrontation awaited, and I was ready to embrace the truth, no matter how painful it might be. What lay ahead was uncertain, but I knew this was the moment I had to seize. And as I took a deep breath, ready to step into the light, I felt the shadows retreat, if only for a moment. The real battle was just beginning. As I stepped into the clearing, the light enveloped me, illuminating the truth I had avoided for so long. The shadows that had once clawed at my psyche now faded, revealing the heart of the Eldari, a pulsating, ethereal core that seemed to breathe with life. I felt the energy surge around us, crackling with a mix of danger and promise. But as I approached, a sharp pain sliced through my chest, and I stumbled to my knees. It was as if the weight of my past had manifested physically, pressing down on my heart. I gasped, feeling the warmth of Ilara's hand on my back, her presence anchoring me as I fought through the agony. "Stay with me," she urged, her voice a lifeline through the haze of pain. I nodded, gritting my teeth against the onslaught of memories and fears that threatened to overwhelm me. The specters of regret swirled around us, but I focused on the light, the heart of the Eldari, determined to confront it. In that moment, I felt a surge of energy course through me, and I reached out toward the glowing core. As my fingers brushed against its surface, a wave of warmth enveloped me, and the shadows recoiled, hissing in defeat. I could hear whispers, echoes of the past, but they were quieter now, fading into the background. Just as quickly as it had started, the pain subsided, leaving behind a lingering ache that would serve as a reminder of my struggle. I stood tall, breathing heavily as Ilara and Jax rushed to my side, their eyes wide with a mix of relief and fear. "We did it," Jax said, his voice trembling with emotion. But as we turned to leave, I saw the shadows begin to shift again, the remnants of the darkness swirling as if they were alive, seeking a new host. "Not yet," I murmured, the realization dawning on me. "This isn't over," Ilara's brow furrowed in concern. "What do you mean?" "The heart may be safe for now, but the darkness is still here, lurking." I glanced at Jax, whose face was drawn tight, the weight of our shared trauma heavy in the air. "We can't leave until we find a way to contain it." As we began to retrace our steps, I noticed something glinting on the ground, a shard of obsidian, pulsating faintly with a dark energy. I picked it up, feeling a strange connection to it, as if it were calling to me. "This could be a key," I said, stashing it away. But even as we moved forward, I felt a tug at my consciousness, a whisper of something greater, a mystery that remained unsolved. The shadows had receded, but they were not gone. Ilara's grip tightened around my arm, her eyes filled with concern. What if it comes back? I turned to her, a mixture of fear and determination coursing through me. "Then we'll be ready next time." With a final look at the clearing, I felt the weight of our victory and the scars we would carry. We might have survived this encounter, but the journey was far from over. The shadows lingered, and I knew they would return. As we emerged from the forest, the sun broke through the canopy, illuminating our path. But in the back of my mind, I couldn't shake the feeling that we had merely scratched the surface of a deeper mystery. The Eldari had secrets, and I was determined to uncover them, no matter the cost. Little did we know, the obsidian shard would lead us down a path we never expected, a world where the line between light and darkness blurred, and our fates would intertwine in ways we couldn't yet comprehend. And so, with the forest at our backs and uncertainty looming ahead, we took our first steps into the unknown, ready to face whatever awaited us. As we emerged from the shadows of the forest, I felt the obsidian shard pulsing in my pocket, a constant reminder of the darkness we had confronted. But with each step away from the clearing, a heavy realization settled in my chest. Our victory had come with a cost. The shadows may have receded for now, but they were merely biding their time, and I could feel their hungry whispers clawing at the edges of my mind. Alara and Jax walked beside me, their faces betraying uncertainty, but I could see the flicker of hope in their eyes. Maybe we had escaped the worst of it. But as we reached the precipice overlooking the valley, a choice lay before us, an opportunity to sever our ties to the shadows, to escape the fate that awaited us, but at a devastating price. Maybe we can destroy the shard, I suggested, my voice trembling as the weight of the decision loomed large. If we sacrifice the heart of the Eldari, we might banish the darkness for good. Ilara's eyes widened in horror. You can't mean that. There are lives tied to that heart. Jax's gaze turned distant, and I could see him wrestling with the implications. But what if it's the only way to save ourselves? The moment stretched, and I could feel the shadows stirring, sensing our indecision. In that instant, I knew I had to choose. I could escape, leave behind the weight of our shared trauma, but the cost would be catastrophic. Lives would be lost, the balance disrupted, and the Eldari would suffer for our freedom. The darkness coiled tighter around my heart, and I took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of the obsidian shard echoing in my veins. I can't do this to them, I whispered, the choice slicing through me like a blade. But with each passing second, the shadows grew more restless, and a chilling realization washed over me. Perhaps there was no escape without sacrifice. My heart raced as I contemplated the catastrophic consequences for others if we chose to flee. I turned to Ilara and Jax, determination hardening my resolve. We must stand our ground. We can't let fear dictate our choices. As I prepared to confront the darkness once more, I could feel the weight of destiny pressing down, knowing that my decision would ripple through time, weaving a new tapestry of fate. I knew the shadows would come for us, but we would face them, together, bound by the choices we made. And so, as we stepped forward into the unknown, I understood that freedom often comes with a price, one that echoes through the lives of others. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more tales filled with mystery and adventure. Share with your friends so they can also embark on this journey, and leave a comment below telling us your favorite part or what kind of ending you'd like to see in a future story.